Imagine a home where the parent is the child and the child is the parent, where the person who is supposed to be in charge is the one who needs looking after. This was the confusing and heavy reality for Maddy Perez in the television show Euphoria. While much of her story revolves around her tumultuous relationship with Nate Jacobs and her fierce sense of style, the true core of her character, the reason she is who she is buried in the quiet, painful dynamics of her own family. Maddy is a child who had to grow up too fast because her parents never really did. A teenager who learned to be a caregiver long before she learned how to be cared for. This role reversal, this situation where she had to parent her own parents, is the secret key to understanding everything about her toughness, her desperate need for control, her attraction to chaotic love, and the deep, lonely wisdom in her eyes that seems far older than 17. To see this, you have to look at the few, but telling, glimpses we get into Maddy's home life. Her parents, especially her mother, are not portrayed as villains, but as emotionally stunted and unstable. They fight with a vicious, screaming intensity that would frighten any child. In one memorable scene, Maddy's mother accuses her father of infidelity right in front of her, and the confrontation is loud, messy, and deeply inappropriate for a parent to have with their child in the room. Maddy is not treated as a daughter in these moments, she is thrust into the role of a referee, a therapist, or a peacekeeper. She is the one who has to navigate their explosive emotions, who has to calm them down or simply survive the storm. Her parents are pouring their emotional burdens onto her, a weight no teenager should have to carry. This forces Maddy to become the adult in the room. She learns to manage their feelings because they cannot manage their own. She learns to be responsible for the emotional climate of her home because the actual adults are irresponsible with their anger and pain. This is the definition of parentification, a form of childhood trauma where a child is forced to take on parental responsibilities. For Maddy, this wasn't about doing chores, it was about providing emotional support and stability that her parents failed to provide for her. This childhood has shaped Maddy's entire personality in ways that are both powerful and deeply tragic. The most obvious result is her incredible, almost armor-plated, toughness. Maddy walks through the halls of her high school with an unshakable confidence. She commands respect, she speaks her mind without fear, and she projects an image of a girl who cannot be hurt. This isn't just confidence, it is a survival skill honed in a home where weakness might mean getting swept away by her parents' drama. She had to build a fortress around herself to stay safe. This toughness is also a mask, a performance she has mastered to hide the vulnerable girl inside who never got to be a child. Furthermore, this early training in managing chaos explains her confusing and dangerous relationship with Nate Jacobs. On the surface, it makes no sense why a girl as smart and strong as Maddy would stay with someone who is abusive, controlling, and manipulative. But from Maddy's perspective, the emotional landscape of her relationship with Nate is weirdly familiar. It is chaotic, intense, and all-consuming. She is an expert at navigating high-conflict situations. She knows how to read the subtle shifts in a person's mood to avoid an explosion, she knows how to stand her ground in a fight, and she is accustomed to love being intertwined with pain and drama. A calm, stable, gentle relationship might feel boring or unfamiliar to her. The roller coaster with Nate, as terrible as it is, feels like home. It is a cycle she knows how to survive. Her need for control over her own body, her life, and her image, seen in her meticulous fashion and flawless makeup, is a direct reaction to a childhood where she had no control over her emotional environment. She controls what she can. Perhaps the most heartbreaking consequence of Maddy parenting her parents is the theft of her own childhood and the deep loneliness it created. While other kids were worrying about homework and friends, Maddy was worrying about her parents' marriage and her mother's heartbreak. She missed out on the carefree irresponsibility of being young because she was too busy being a caregiver. This has left her profoundly lonely. She cannot relate to peers who have normal parental support. Who can she talk to about this? How can she explain to Cassie or Kat that she has to be the strong one for her mother? This isolation fuels her performance. If no one can see the real pain, she might as well be the most glamorous, untouchable version of herself. It also gives her a cynical, worldly wisdom. Her famous line, "I'm smarter than you, I'm stronger than you, and I will survive you," isn't just about Nate. It is the mantra of a child who survived her parents. She has seen the worst of adult relationships up close, and it has made her both incredibly resilient and deeply distrustful. She understands power dynamics and survival in a way most teenagers never will. This background makes her fierce protectiveness over the children she babysits incredibly meaningful. When she is with them, she isn't just a teenage babysitter, she is the guardian she never had. She is gentle, present, and fully focused on their safety and happiness. In a beautiful and quiet scene, she tells one of the children, "I need you to be brave for me, okay?" It is a simple request, but it carries the weight of her entire life. She is asking the child to do what she has always had to do. But she is saying it with a kindness and support that was never offered to her. In these moments, she gets to rewrite the script. She gets to be the stable, reliable adult for these children, ensuring they feel secure in a way she never did. It is a glimpse of the person Maddy could have been, and perhaps still can be, if she can heal from her own wounds. It shows that her parenting instincts, though forced upon her too early, have also given her a profound capacity for love and protection. In the end, Maddy Perez is so much more than just Nate's ex-girlfriend or the girl with the great outfits. She is a walking, talking lesson in how childhood trauma shapes a person. The role reversal in her home, the experience of parenting her parents, built her into a formidable survivor. It gave her strength, street smarts, and a fierce will. But it also stole her innocence, twisted her understanding of love, and locked her in a prison of loneliness and performance. Every choice she makes, from the boyfriend she tolerates to the way she carefully applies her eyeliner, is a ripple effect from that central trauma. To understand Maddy is to understand that her armor was forged in her living room long before she ever met Nate Jacobs. Her fight isn't just with the world, it is with the ghost of the childhood she never got to have, and her journey, ultimately, is about learning to put down the heavy burden of being an adult and finally discovering how to be just Maddy.